Long before cities existed, humans lived in a wild and unpredictable world. Every day was a battle against hunger, weather, and the dangers of nature. They depended on the land around them to find food and survive. The rivers, mountains, and forests were the only maps they knew. But beyond the familiar lands was a world they had never seen. A question slowly grew inside their minds. What existed beyond the horizon? The unknown was dangerous, but curiosity was stronger than fear. They wondered if better lands, new resources, and safer places waited somewhere far away. Their small homes protected them, but they could not provide everything forever. As seasons changed, some lands became harder to live in. Animals moved, climates changed, and humans had to adapt. For survival, some humans made the greatest decision of their lives. They would leave everything they knew and walk into the unknown. Their journey would change the future of humanity forever. Leaving their homeland was not a simple choice. It meant abandoning everything familiar. They knew the path ahead was filled with dangers they had never faced before. There were no roads, no signs, and no maps to guide their way. The stars above became their compass during long nights of travel. Every step into unknown territory carried a risk. They crossed rivers that could sweep them away and mountains that tested their strength. The cold winds reminded them that nature was still in control. At night, they gathered around fires to share stories and courage. The journey tested not only their bodies but also their determination. Some wanted to turn back to the safety they once knew. But others believed something greater was waiting beyond the unknown. Their courage pushed humanity into places no one had ever reached. Every new step opened a chapter in the story of human survival. They were no longer just survivors, they had become explorers. As ancient humans traveled farther, they discovered that the world was much larger than they imagined. Every new land revealed mysteries that had never been seen before. They searched for places where food was plentiful and life could continue. A good hunting ground could mean the difference between life and death. But finding new lands was never guaranteed to bring safety. Some places were colder, harsher, and more dangerous than anything they had known. They had to learn new skills to survive in every environment they entered. The forests taught them patience, while the oceans challenged their courage. Some groups followed animals that migrated across distant lands. Others searched for rivers, valleys, and resources that could support future generations. Their journeys were not only about survival, they were about opportunity. Each generation pushed farther than the one before it. Their footsteps slowly connected distant parts of the world. Without realizing it, they were shaping the future of humanity. For ancient humans, discovering new lands meant entering places where no human had ever walked before. They faced challenges that tested their courage, intelligence, and survival instincts. Some journeys took them across freezing lands covered with endless ice. The cold threatened their lives with every step they took. Yet they discovered ways to adapt and survive in the harshest environments. Other groups faced another challenge, crossing wide rivers and dangerous waters. With simple tools, they created the first steps toward ocean exploration. The ocean was a mystery filled with danger, but also with possibility. They had no modern technology, only observation and determination. A mistake during their journey could cost them everything. But their desire to discover new worlds pushed them forward. Every mountain crossed and every river passed expanded the human world. Their bravery allowed humanity to reach places that once seemed impossible. The world was slowly becoming smaller because humans refused to stop exploring. Every new land discovered came with a price that ancient humans had to pay. They left behind homes, familiar places, and the people they loved. Some never returned from the dangerous paths they followed. The wilderness could be unforgiving to those who were not prepared. Hunger was one of the greatest enemies they faced during their journeys. Finding enough food in unknown lands required patience and skill. They also faced predators that saw them as new competitors. Their greatest weapon was not strength, but their ability to work together. Families and communities made survival in new lands possible. They passed knowledge from one generation to the next. Every journey taught them something new about the world around them. Their failures became lessons that helped future explorers survive. The risks they took created opportunities for those who came after them. Their sacrifices became the foundation of humanity's expansion across the earth. As generations passed, ancient humans continued moving farther across the earth. What started as a search for survival became the greatest journey in human history. Small groups slowly reached places that seemed impossible to reach. They entered deserts where water was rare and survival was uncertain. They crossed forests filled with unknown animals and hidden dangers. They climbed mountains where the air was thin and the cold was powerful. Every environment forced them to change and become more creative. Their ability to adapt became the secret behind their success. They followed coastlines, rivers, and animal paths to discover new territories. Some groups traveled farther than anyone believed possible. Each migration carried human knowledge into new corners of the world. The journeys connected distant groups that had never known each other existed. Through exploration, humans slowly transformed from survivors into pioneers. Their courage created the foundation for the civilizations that would follow. Thousands of years later, the journeys of ancient humans still shape the world we live in today. Their courage created pathways that future generations would continue to follow. The lands they discovered became homes for countless people who came after them. Their movements changed the way humans lived, worked, and connected. Every tool they created and every lesson they learned helped humanity advance. Their discoveries proved that humans could survive almost anywhere. They were not the strongest creatures on Earth, but they were the most adaptable. Their greatest achievement was the ability to imagine a better future. The same curiosity that pushed them into unknown lands still exists within humans today. Every modern journey began with the first steps taken by ancient explorers. The oceans crossed and mountains climbed by our ancestors opened the world for humanity. Their stories remind us that progress always begins with courage. The unknown was once frightening, but it became the birthplace of discovery. Ancient humans did not just discover new lands, they discovered the possibilities of humanity itself. The story of ancient human exploration was not only about discovering new lands. It was about a species refusing to remain trapped by the limits of the known world. Their desire to discover pushed humanity beyond fear and uncertainty. They crossed dangerous environments because survival demanded change. They faced storms, predators, hunger, and the unknown. But every challenge made them smarter, stronger, and more prepared. Their greatest discovery was not the land they found, but what they learned about themselves. They proved that curiosity could be more powerful than fear. Because they explored, humans spread across every corner of the earth. The first explorers created the foundation for every journey that followed. Their footsteps became the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure. The courage of ancient humans reminds us that progress always begins with someone willing to go first. The unknown they feared became the world they would eventually call home. Ancient humans risked everything to discover new lands, and because of them, humanity reached everywhere.